Hey, everybody. I hope you're well on this day, on Tuesday, the 2nd of June. The Oakland City Auditor Office, under Courtney Ruby, is charged with basically analyzing how the city does the business of running its government. And it has hits and misses. Unfortunately, and I say this in full knowledge of the people that I regard as friends are watching, this is one of those misses. What I'm talking about is the Oakland Police Audit. And the Oakland Police Commission audit pops up by email right in the middle of a number of events, like this one. And this one basically shows you that Oakland students organized a protest in the wake of the murder of George Floyd on Memorial Day by Minneapolis State Park police officer Derek Chauvin. There are an estimated 145 cities that have had protests of some kind, some level. What are they protesting? Well, police brutality against African Americans. Okay, that's what they're protesting. They're protesting much of the same type of problem that Oakland has been horrified by in its history. All you have to do, if you want to see what I'm talking about, is type Writers Police Oakland, and you can get any number of images of, that's right, Oakland police officers, the Writers, who they hurt and killed, and how they terrorized West Oakland during the turn of the 21st century. All white male cops. Right here. Okay. Even someone named it right over here at Operation Nation, never heard of them. Oakland Police Department, a criminal cesspool of thugs. That's what it says. A criminal cesspool of thugs. Now, is that right? Of course not. But that's our history. And that gave rise to the Oakland Police Commission as it stands today. All you have to do is type Oakland Police Commission and boom. All right. You have photographs of a police commission, mostly of color. There were more than one woman in this. And it's unfortunate the police commission itself doesn't have a photograph of its complement as had served in 2019, but that's another story. Okay. So you have this tableau, the Oakland Police Commission, and then, of course, you have the Oakland City Auditor Office, and all you have to do is, if you're interested in trying to find out what the staff looks like, basically, there's Courtney, and as well, there's not only Courtney, there's staff right here. And with the exception of one person, and these are all friends, they're white, one is Asian, and one black. And yes, they're also quite aware of the tableau. But that fact has sadly informed what I'm about to show you, and that is this audit of the police commission. This one that's coming into view and relief. Performance audit of the city of Oakland, of the Oakland Police Commission and the Community Police Review Agency. All right. July 1st, 2020. Now I want you to take a look at something, because this underscores why what you're about to hear is different. You see these headlines under news? Okay. Audit, rocky start for Oakland's police commission, police review agency, and so on. Okay. City audit finds police commission falls too short of duties, has too much responsibility. All right. Folks, that is pure and simple. Like purely and simply put it, kindly, one thing. That is a white media perspective, a white Bay Area media perspective. It pretends to be journalistic, and in so doing, completely misses the moment, to steal a turn of phrase from the governor of California. The Oakland Police Commission was born of the same elements that have given rise to the protests today that were the result of the death of George Floyd and so many blacks who've been killed by police officers over decades history. And yet we have this, which says that it's actually going to look at, let's read. It says, Dear Mayor Schaaf, a group of concerned residents tired of waiting for the city to get police oversight right, proposed a ballot measure to create an independent police commission. And then it mentions a sex scandal, and it says the measure LL passed by 83%. And then it says the overall objectives of the audit were to determine whether the commission has provided objective oversight of the OPD and the agency, and whether both the commission and the agency complied with the requirements of the city charter. Okay, but here's the question, all right, that I have. Why now? Why now? Especially when you consider Oakland Police Chief, right? Oakland Police Chief Ann Kirkpatrick, all right, who was fired by the, there she is, fired, all right, and by the mayor of Oakland and the police commission, really, in truth, this year, in May, all right, in May. And in May, right there, there's the real news. Oakland News Now. Oakland Police Chief Ann Kirkpatrick fired right here by Mayor Libby Schaaf. Okay. And that came from Oakland News Now, right here. All right. Check the date. What does it say? February 21st, 2020. So it looks to me like the very raison d'etre for the drafting of the police commission study was that there are people who didn't like that Ann Kirkpatrick was fired. Some of those people, including myself, have went on record as saying that the police commissioner, the police chief was racist. And by that, I mean institutionally racist. That's another long story that I've already discussed. I'm happy to discuss it more, but not here. That's not the purpose here. What I'm talking about is the timing of the issue. The timing of the issue. And more important, how this can be straightened out. So the audit report, as it stands, goes back and it lays out what it believes are the main considerations. They talk about the audit scope, right? But then it gets to the juicy parts. But this is one that in particular caught my eye in it. For example, it talks about Measure LL, the executive summary. It said that the audit found that the commission through 2019, which ironically happens to be the time that Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf was originally going to fire Chief Kirkpatrick. Actually, she's going to do it just a few days before the election in 2018, then took that off the table. That's another story. The audit found that the commission through 2019 made 2 changes to OPD policies relating to stopping people on parole and reporting the use of force. And it said that, and it talks about what the commission did, okay? And then it says that, it talks about the ability to fulfill its requirements and everything else. And it offers a number of observations that it views as technical, but in point of fact are simply the opinion of the auditor. In other words, there's not anything you can point at that was done doing a numerical analysis. It was all argumentative and all can be argued. That's the number one problem. But that's not to gaslight or delegitimize what's in the report. Not at all. But it is to criticize the report's place in history. And that's exactly how we have to put it, given what's going on right now. Its place in history. So we have this discussion about the police commissioner's powers and duties should be clarified. And it says that it involves itself in matters that limit its ability to address higher priority issues, like it involved itself in administrative activities and has directed staff in the agency and OPD. Well, okay. And then it gets really deep in the woods of how the commission does its business from a critical eye. But what really got me, and I point to within not so much the executive summary, but the bows of this document are not the charter or the agency, but or even so much the budget, although I can dig into that deeper. But it has to do with, for example, this. Staff. And it says there's 188 matches to staff. But here it is, okay? Audit results about the Inspector General. Commissioner is, and then of course there is this. Yeah, Roberts. Okay, 1 of 5 matches. 1 here. This one. The commission has not adequately controlled its meetings and agenda. All right. Or this. In other instances, this is page 51. Commissioners have been disrespectful to the chief of police and other OPD staff. For example, during her presentation on January 10th, 2019, the chief of police states that her number 1 goal internally is to become fully staffed. Her number 2 goal is to take Oakland through an accreditation process called, quote, Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies, unquote, or a CALIA. CALIA. CALIA is the national gold standard for police accreditation. The chief of police plan was for OPD to complete this accreditation in 2020. However, the chief of police goal wasn't well received by commissioners. Commissioner A commented, getting an accredited validation from someplace I've never heard of does not really mean much to me. If you want validation, you should get it from the community you serve. Even if we're under the NSA, you can get some accreditation from the community members, and you have community members come in here and say, they are a gold star agency, and then that's impressive. Okay, so they put that there, right? But then they don't explain in the next paragraph why that's important. In other words, they act as if this is a bad thing the commission said, but in the next section, they don't act like it's important. They say, look, Robert's rules, the commission has not adequately controlled its meetings and agenda. Then they say Robert's Rules of Order, which is a guide for conducting meetings and making decisions, strongly encourages government bodies to follow structured guidelines, including maintaining and following a strict agenda, using motions, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and I'm saying it like that for this reason, all right? This is unstructured and purely unstructured. It was done with emotion and not logic. It was pieced together in a pseudo-intellectual way to fit emotion. Let's go back to this, okay? And this is one part. Let's go back to this. All right? Let's go back to what we were talking about. This paragraph basically says, hey, look, the police chief is really upset that these black folks, all right, were telling her that they didn't value what she was saying about how the police department should be valued from what station. Well, yeah, they represent the community. They're supposed to do that. But for the police chief to get upset about that, of all the universe of things to get upset about, speaks to the kind of white supremacy that African Americans talk about today. In other words, the police chief wants to be free to dictate. The police chief cannot take advice, work with the police commission. That's essentially what this says. That's what it says. There's no other way, logically, to interpret that. Because it's not even it isn't even at all clarified in the document. Go back and look at this. When you scroll down, and then it mentions Robert's Rules of Order, okay, which is a guide for conducting meetings and making decisions. Strongly encourage government bodies to follow structured guidelines, including maintaining and following a strict agenda, using motions and da 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 da. All right, I'm going to tell you something. Okay, first of all, you know where this came from? And these criticisms, I will tell you where it came from. All right? It came from criticisms by the now former Oakland City administrator that she was being criticized by the community and wasn't being defended. I've served two mayors of Oakland Mayor Elihu Harris and Oakland Mayor Jerry Brown, who's now the twice former California governor. Folks, the kind of criticism that this audit points to and that the mainstream white media has published, in my day, working for Elihu Harris as economic advisor would be considered laughable. The first question would have been, hey, what's wrong with you? Don't you understand that you're a public servant and people are going to criticize you? Oakland District 7 Councilmember Larry Reed will tell you that when he was in his earlier days as council member and he was a bit more excitable, a gentleman named Hugh Bassett would routinely show up to council meetings. For those of you who think that Gene Hazard, God love him, is a firebrand, you do not know Hugh Bassett. You have not seen Hugh Bassett in action, because Hugh Bassett comes from a time before the internet. Hugh Bassett and Councilmember Reed would get into such heated arguments that at one point, Hugh started to climb up as if he was going to go after Larry, and Larry got up as if he was going to go after him. And I am sorry we didn't have YouTube. Sorry, Larry. That was real theater, okay? Two passionate Oakland politicos going at it, arguing about education and key issues, because Hugh felt that Larry wasn't addressing the needs of the community. All right? It's a common theme here. So here we have the Oakland police chief upset over, I mean, this is incredible. I'm reading this in that context, okay? Upset that, again, the commissioners have been disrespectful of her because they didn't agree with her that the police department should be going through accreditation process that the police commission had never heard of. Well, had it ever, if that's the case, then why is it, or why didn't the Oakland Police Department have a meeting with the police commission to, hey, show them and make an argument for their case, state their case? But right in line with the problem of this ingrained white supremacist point of view, I dictate to you, you listen to me, and I have the answer, and you don't talk back, because in this case, you are the community. Ooh. In other words, the same set of factors psychologically that gave rise over time to the police commission and its power that we have today. Seriously, folks? Okay. So you get the idea. This is, I can go on and on and on with these examples. And I will. But right now I'm going to cut to the chase and say this. The city auditor needs to write a supplemental study that does two things. First of all, it takes away, it doesn't focus on or expand on those areas that are for discussion. Instead, what it does is it takes those areas and says, in light of the national conversation about police brutality in the Black community, and use that term straight up. Don't say minority, use Black community, because that's really what it's about, okay? And say, we are adding this supplemental with the objective of creating a kind of a hug, a way of mating, better mating the police commission and the police department to go forward in the 21st century. That is the kind of audit that is needed, not an audit that allows the whatever media is left, which isn't much, to interpret it as, this is saying the police commission has these problems, which totally basically acts like it's coming off on the side of the rich White Hills folks, which a number did not like that the police commission fired the police chief. I thought it was awesome. Okay. Oakland has not had a Black police chief since 2011. Something, I might add, that this audit doesn't address. Oakland has not had a true effort to restructure itself to entirely meet community needs. That should be the focus of the auditor. Not scoring political points with people that are closer to Trump than they themselves realize. And in some cases, in a way that actually makes Trump look pretty good. So, no, this isn't it. This is not it. It doesn't make the police commission look bad, but it makes the city of Oakland as a whole look like it doesn't, or rather more appropriately has forgotten to, if it ever really knew how, to take care of its community, and in particular, its Black community. Now, the study needs a hug. The police commission needs a hug. The police department needs a hug. We need to be about the business of hugging, not finger pointing, although it's very easy to do. The Oakland City Auditor's Office has to take the lead and do this. I mean, after all, why not? It's already stuck its neck out there, and there isn't an elected official in Oakland that's going to side with the study right now, if ever. No, you got to have a supplemental. All right. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. See ya.